You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
U.S. Cellular has noticed the way we use our phones has gotten ironic. We try to put our phones down for dinner, but the menu's on a QR code. That's ironic. We hit like on social posts that we don't actually like, which is ironic. Which is why U.S. Cellular created Us Mode, to help us reconnect with each other and use our phones less ironically. A phone company wanting people to use their phones less is ironic. Let's find us again with Us Mode from U.S. Cellular. Visit uscellular.com/built-for-us to get started.
You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com.
All right, that took a long time. What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. That thing was spinning. Boy, I was like, well, we've got internet. Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can also text us at 865-658-5824. Join alongside Jacob in Wisconsin. We got Emilio in Tennessee. Tim, I'm going to say this. Tim is on assignment. I always wanted to say that. I don't know what the hell it means, but I always wanted to say it. So there you go.
Doesn't mean anything, but
yeah. Jacob, what's up, man?
Nothing much, dude. Just really, I'm kind of bummed that we're not going to have any practice updates tomorrow, but I'm more excited that the next following day we basically have the actual start of Packer football, ladies and gentlemen. That's pretty crazy. There's a lot of little updates today that we'll go over, and some training camp stuff and injuries and all that jazz. But how are you, Emilio?
I'm great. I'm excited that we got some football on.
Do you got dirt all over your face? Did you even wash up?
Yeah, dude, I was mowing for 8 hours. I don't know what you want me to do. It was 102. It felt like 102. The humidity was like 80%.
It was so bad.
It was hotter here we've had the past month probably than those 2 days they had up in Wisconsin.
Hey.
I'm just saying.
All right.
You heard it from a fan.
Let me tell you what else we heard from a fan. So, so Tim sending me a package tomorrow. He's going to get me some spotted cow. I don't know if you guys are big spotted cow fans or not, but I love it, man. By New Glarus. I think I'm saying that right. Dude, what was that look for, Jacob? What, if it's anything other than natty ice, we're not allowed to drink it? What are you saying?
No, it's good. It's just so overrated. It's all right.
What?
I didn't have it when I was up there, so I can't tell you.
I told Mandy, I said, Tim's sending a package tomorrow. She said, what is it? And I said, spotted cow. She said, can he box up some elk stroganoff from 1919 Kitchen and Tap? That's what she asked. I always have spotted cow, elk stroganoff, beer cheese soup in the middle of December, snow flying outside of Lambeau. It don't get any better. Jacob, I'm sorry to disappoint you once again, sir.
No, all Jacob slams is red stripe, just right out of the glass.
Red stripe.
Red stripe. Yeah. No, New Glarus is good. They have they have better beers. They've got one called Fat Squirrel. It's really good. Moon Man is good. I just, it's just a lager. It's
my Uncle Bill worked with a guy in the coal mines named Fat Squirrel, actually. So there you go. I just made that up. Probably. Didn't get quite the pop I wanted, but hey, you win some, you lose some. That's the way it goes. But so we've got a lot of training camp news to get into. Obviously, we heard from Rashan Gary earlier today too. I'm going to go ahead and jump into that clip because I just love Rashan Gary. I love how excited he is about this new scheme, and he was asked several questions, but he talked mainly the scheme change. He talked about the whiteout uniforms, which those got revealed earlier. I want to play the video so bad, but we will definitely get hit with some kind of copyright if we do. But you guys have already heard, you've already seen, about the whiteout unis that we're going to be wearing this year. Did they say it was going to be worn in October, or did they say it's going to be worn in Brazil?
For the Texans.
No, it's the Houston game, yeah.
Oh, that's going to be good.
They're going to white out the crowd with the 80,000 all white in white helmets.
That's what I'm talking about. So he talked about that, and he also talked about the family knot environment. Again, here is Rashan Gary, one of my favorite all-time Packers.
About how they think the scheme really fits your game. How do you think it fits you?
Aggression, man, playing fast, physical, and effort, man, and that's all me.
When it comes to family night on Saturday, how excited are you just to see fans back at Lambeau and cheering on for you guys?
Oh, man, every time you step in Lambeau, man, it's a blessing. So being able to have a practice in front of our fans and, everybody need that energy, especially getting through this camp. So that's going to give us a lot of energy to finish throughout the day and keep stacking our days for camp.
There's a game this year where they're going to be a whiteout night, and it's October. What do you think of the white helmets you guys will be wearing?
Man, cool. They're cool. The uniform is fire, and I just can't wait to go out there and play good ball in them.
On a personal level, what's it been like just getting to know your new coordinator and just what's he been like in terms of his approach?
Oh, man, I love him. Can't get enough of him. And one thing about him, he wants what I want for myself, man. And he wants all the goals, achievements, and he wants me to be the best person I could be for this team, help this team get to where we want to be. So, having a coach like that, want to push you every day, don't matter, the name that you have or, what you have done in the past, man, he doesn't care. So just him pushing me to be great every day. And that's something that I challenge him to do, and he challenged me to do the same thing. So having a coach that, has your back like that is great.
Is there anything that viewing from a veterans rest day that you watch in practice that strikes you that say, hey, I was in the midst of it, all these other practices, just zoomed out a little, you notice differently?
Like I said, just the the gems that I give, or just the small things that I say, and just looking at the corrections that they do out there, and just how they align and how they play free, and you see it come to light. But that's all credit to them.
What kind of wisdom do you have for the young players coming into family night? I know it's just practice, but because the enthusiasm and the hoopla, what advice would you give them?
It's going to be like a game day, so treat it as a game day. Having Lambeau, about 82,000 people, cheering you on, even though just for practice, that's what Green Bay is. That's our culture, and the fans are going to make us feel it. But the main thing is to keep the main thing. That's getting better step by step every day, and that's just another practice for us.
Boy, I'm so fired up for family night, boys. It's going to be absolutely awesome. So, Jacob, I think Rashan Gary going to really break out here, man. Obviously, he's been the most steady defensive player I think we've had. I know PFF agrees. You look at the pressure rate, you see what he was asked to do in the 34 jam fronts against base. I feel like he's been one hell of a player, consistent, hardworking, great attitude, always done everything kind of the quote-unquote Packer way. I think he's poised for a big year, man. What do you think?
Yeah, I really do. And he's just always been such a selfless player that even when you look back at what he was asked to do in Michigan, it was kind of controlled chaos. Yeah, look at what he was asked to do here with the Joe Barry scheme. A lot of it was controlled chaos. I feel like finally, for the first time in his career, they just said, all right, dude, put your hand in the dirt, get the quarterback. That's it. Don't worry about anything else. And that has to be an absolute weight off of his shoulders. And at the same time, I think we've seen it, man. We've seen the flashes. There doesn't seem to be anybody that's going to be able to line up against him consistently. Maybe you can take him, 4 out of 4 times, but as the game grinds on and Gary's coming at you relentlessly, and we have that rotation of guys that we do, I just feel like that we are setting him up for the ultimate success this year. And it sounds like the guys around him are playing fast and really smart and aggressive. So if that allows him to just, again, put his hand in the dirt, just focus on just the epitome of a human meat missile. That's all I want him doing. Firing out of that track stance. I mean, I'm serious, man. He really could have a crazy. Yeah.
Emilio, go ahead. Be prepared.
Yeah, great points there. Great points there, Jacob. I think also earlier in the interview, he was talking about it, being excited for Kenneth and just how he's, grown and watched him and helped him, become a football player. So I think it's awesome. He's taking that role. He knows that, it's him, Kenny, and Ja that have been there. And we gotta bring everybody together for the team. He's got good communication with his D coordinator, and he's happy to be there. Tying back to the jerseys, I like that we're bringing the all white to the home, because normally we're in the green. But also, I like Wes's point that he was talking about. It's kind of like that college thing where you go into Penn State and it's 120,000 all white, ready to roll. It kind of just gives them that little bit of energy. If it's going to be a high tension game against CJ Stroud, whatever. I think maybe that little extra boost might give them, you look good, feel good, play good kind of thing.
Definitely. Definitely. Prince in the chat says, evening gents, got the Hall of Fame game on just to see a couple of kickoffs. I know everybody's excited to see how that's going to look. I'm just excited football's on the TV and it's not a rerun. You know what I'm saying? I've been watching reruns for a long time now. Omer in the chat says, D wins practice again today after offense won it yesterday. We'll get into some of those details here shortly. CJN says, spot on, Clayton, with the New Glarus. Thank you, sir. I appreciate the support. 2-0 for this says, New Glarus had a cherry lager made with Door County cherries. It was amazing, but I agree with Jacob. Spotted Cows purely for the, quote, only get it in Wisconsin factor. Okay, there may be a little bit of that. I can't argue. John in the chat says, best show on earth, evening all. I appreciate it, man. Let us know what that show is. I know you're not talking about this one. Mr. Maki Riggs says, Love had 2, quote, elite throws, and Wicks was, quote, uncoverable at today's practice, as per Andy Herman's quick take. So we'll get into some of that stuff, man. Really, really exciting. We're going to go through kind of the play-by-play, if you will, from Wes Hocklitz in camp and a few updates from Andy Herman as well. Will kind of confirm, too. Will says Wicks was balling. So a couple of clips I want to show you guys real quick before we get into kind of the updates from camp. There was a play that Wicks made, a catch that Wicks made. But watch Jair lay him out, okay? It's going to be really small. It's going to be hard to see. It's in the far distance, far side of the camera, and we'll loop it a couple times. Watch Jair play aggressive right here, man. This is kind of cool. Bang. See it right there at the end? Love to see it, man. Love to see it. We've been talking about Ja and how is that shoulder truly going to be healthy? Terrell Buckley spoke about it on a podcast a couple months ago that he talked to Jair. Jair's shoulder's fully healthy now. He's going to be able to be himself once again. How you guys feeling about that, man? It's nice to see him lower that boom a little bit, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to Matt's point, at some point you need those hits in practice. You're going to get the pops, but we don't want him to take Wicks out. I like that they're being competitive. I would maybe want to see at least a little wrap, just to throw the arm around him, but I'm cool with it, man. I like that he's throwing his body around.
Yeah, definitely. Will in the chat says PTA coming to camp this year, ? Tim is in and out of camp. He's got some stuff he's having to take care of in Milwaukee, so he's been traveling back and forth. But he should be back at camp soon. I imagine he's probably not done for the summer. Unfortunately, I'm not able to make it up this year. We got the draft coming up. We've already got that squared away, so we will be up for the draft, and also we'll probably make a game here in December. Would be my guess. But Jacob, what do you think about Jair, man? You think this is the year he puts it back together, dude? Gets back to the old Jair?
Yeah, I do. I think that if anything, too, he's got more incentive from just the players around him for the first time in a long time to actually be physical. And if not, he's got to worry. I think it sounds crazy because he's, one of the highest paid D-backs in the league, if not the most highest paid. I think he feels the pressure that he has to keep up with his game because he's got a lot of young talent and guys that are champing at the bit behind him. And plus, if you look at the aggressiveness, I think it may stem from Wicks and Nixon have been going at it hard against each other this year for the first time. We really see like kind of a little inner team. I don't want to say drama or conflict or anything, but it's good because they both have pride. One's got super pride in the offense. One's got a lot of pride in the new defense. And it's nice to see that those guys are actually, I think, maybe motivating other players to like step up that incentive, step up the intensity. Rashan Gary, there was that clip about how he took Hafley aside and he's like, hey, I don't like that we were, kind of lackadaisical or whatever. Can I address the team? And Half was like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Like this.
Absolutely. I love
that. I think that they're all kind of matching each other's intensity and they see that the coaches are completely, it's like a kid when they do something right and you like try not to get too excited, but you're like, yeah, right. That's exactly what I wanted you to do. I think they're all getting a healthy amount of like that jealousy to get that praise. Cause I think that that's what they're craving is they want somebody to tell them they're doing a good job, that they're progressing. And I think that they're finally making that moves on the defense for sure.
Yeah. And you were right, man, with the Jair Alexander comment. He has the highest cap hit in the entire NFL amongst cornerbacks this year. He's sitting at 23.9. Marlon Humphrey is second at 22.8. Then it drops down to 18.4 with Charvarius Ward in San Francisco. Then DJ Reed with the Jets at 15.6. So that's kind of how the cap hits drop. Now, I want to hit this real quick. It wasn't on our docket here, but we're going to touch on it briefly because this stuff really matters. When we talk cap hits, you think, okay, he's the highest paid, and he is in that regard from a cap allocation standpoint. But when you look at his entire contract, let's kind of see what the future may hold for Jair Alexander. All right, so let me just make this a little bit wider here. Bang, right there is where we want to see. Okay, probably kind of hard for you guys to see that because it is so wide now. But so essentially what you've got, I'll read it off to you. 2024, your cap hit is $23.9 million. The dead cap attached is $35.4. Now, next year, they talk about this offseason being a potential out. And what they mean by that is in 2025, Jair Alexander's cap hit, it only raises to 25.8. So it only raises roughly $2 million, a little less than $2 million, which is 9% of the cap allocation, the cap percentage. But his dead cap attached is $19 million. So you could get out of that contract next year, after this year, I should say, and free up roughly $6 million in cap space and $19 million in dead cap. Now, I'm not saying that they should do that. I'm not saying they will do that. However, in 2026, let's say Jair does kind of fall off, and in 2020, you bring him back in 2025, he doesn't perform that well, and you want to get out from under it, then his cap hit raises to 27.8, but if you cut him, you free up, there's only a $10.7 million cap hit, so you're going to free up $10 million in cap space if you choose to that, because there is one voidable year at $2.3 million that would accelerate to the year in which you do cut him. All that's included in the dead cap on each of these respective years. So going to be interesting to see if Jair puts it all together. Again, I'm not suggesting we should get rid of Jair, but it's cool that Goody's got this structure protecting himself in case for some reason Jair does fall off. So does that make sense, fellas?
Yeah.
Definitely. All right, perfect. All right, but yeah, so you were right though, Jacob. He does have the highest cap hit in the league. Dennis Shook in the chat says, smash that like button and subscribe. Appreciate that, Dennis. Thank you so much for doing the dirty work, bub. If you guys do take a second, hit that like button. It really, really helps the channel out, helps boost the algorithm, help other Packer fans find the show. Also, you can scan that QR code in the upper right. That'll send you to our Patreon community if you want to join there. And I guess Eric Sutherland has entered the chat. I'm not sure, but we'll keep it moving here. So,
Yep.
Yeah, I see it now. You're right. Yeah, okay. You guys had every right to laugh there. It's pretty good. All right. So let's move on to you're going to hear about this in the camp updates, but I just want to play the clips and get your all's reaction. Again, this all came from Basariski's, Baz's Twitter handle. He's done an excellent job today, obviously putting out videos, putting out content from training camp. This one here is a play to Christian Watson down the seam. And to me, it looks like you can kind of read Jair close to the screen. It looks like they're playing Tampa too, because you see Jair, he's not playing man. He's definitely playing, look to me, like he was probably playing like a cover 3 and they threw a Tampa element into it, right? It could have been cover 2 and he's playing kind of that invert cover 2 and then turn it into Tampa with Quay going down the sideline. But you guys see how Quay is covering the seam there, right? He's running stride for stride. Look at that throw by Love, man. I mean, right by his ear.
Wow.
Great concentration from Watson, too. That's something that's not.
Watch Quay. He's not happy with himself. Watch.
Yeah. All you got to do is flip that head around. You got your pick. And that's the awareness stuff that we talk about. We talk about with Eric Stokes a couple years ago, too. Remember, it's like you're running down the seam. At what point do you think, okay, let me look back and see what's going on here, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's not like they're not teaching it as if, okay, if he throws a double move on right there, you keep running with him. It's somewhat of a matchy top defense, seeing that you're covering the seam there and Jai is playing zone. But at the same time, beautiful throw by Love and great concentration by Christian Watson to bring that in, right?
Yeah. And who's that? Evan Williams right there? That was the other – is that the safety coming across?
I think it may have been, yep.
33. So, I mean – I like that. I mean, I like seeing that Quay's running with him. We obviously want to throw the hand in there, but hey, it's practice. It's fine. Now we know. Now we know what we're looking for there. But I do think probably Tampa 2, something like that.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me, because you see there's no deep threat on that side of the field, so that safety kind of pinches down, and Quay is running along the seam there. He's just a little late to his spot, and again, you can watch Jair on the close side here. He is definitely not playing catch man. This is just simple zone.
So he beat him right away.
To me, it looked like an invert cover 2, meaning the safety on Jair's side probably came down and buzzed. He drops deep, covering deep half. Evan Williams or whoever the other safety is on the other side has deep half, and then Quay is covering the seam. That's what we refer to as an invert Tampa 2. Think back to the touchdown pass to Jaden Reed last New Year's Eve against Minnesota. That was an invert Tampa 2. They tried to mix Jordan up. Jordan read it like a book, like, oh, yeah, watch this. Right down the seam, touchdown. So, again, thought that was cool that Watson showed some concentration there, Jake, because that's not been like his strong point, right? It's usually athleticism. It looks like he's taking some big strides, man.
Yeah, I think, too, hopefully we've got the hamstring issue under control, because that's been his biggest knock, is that as soon as he seems to kind of take a few steps, he gets hit with an injury, and we knock him out for a few days, games, weeks, whatever the case is, and he just can't consistently stack up that momentum. But even I hate always going back to like, hey, check out this 9-game stretch, but during that stretch, man, he really showed us the ceiling is almost non-existent with this dude. So
yeah,
he may be one of those people that there are 4 wide receivers, maybe you could argue that all 5, if not 6.
US Cellular has noticed the way we use our phones has gotten ironic. We try to put our phones down for dinner, but the menu's on a QR code. That's ironic. We hit like on social posts that we don't actually like, which is ironic. Which is why US Cellular created Us Mode, to help us reconnect with each other and use our phones less ironically. A phone company wanting people to use their phones less is ironic. Let's find us again with Us Mode from US Cellular. Visit uscellular.com/built-for-us to get started.
You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com. You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com. You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com.
For sure, 5 of the 6 could have a crazy breakout year. Each of them could exceed 1,000 yards. Each of them could exceed 100 catches. We just don't know which one. So it's a good problem. It's kind of crazy to think about that, but yeah, I'm excited to see him take another step. One thing, too, like Dennis said here, Quay was mad at himself, obviously, for not getting the head around like we just talked about. But for him just to be keeping pace with Watson is impossibly impressive, he puts, and I in all caps. And I think that is also pretty crazy to think about.
And what does Mike Lombardi always say, Clayton? That the speed of the defense is set by your middle linebacker.
Absolutely.
And I think Quay's got that. So let's see him fly around. Let's see that. I'm excited.
You need a little bit more spatial awareness, and when they do play spot drop, you've got to know, like Coach Haddad talked about, and any other DB coach under the sun talks about. Grass has never gained a first down. Grass has never scored a point in any football league. So it's not about covering this spot, even though you're in spot drop. It's about covering the player closest to your spot, and then knowing when to release him to pick up the second wave coming into your spot, right? Like there's a lot of nuances that come and go with that for sure. Since we're talking receivers, let's hit this clip here too. This was Jaden Reed beating Keyshawn Nixon on the 9 round. That's kind of cool. So you see, this isn't 11-on-11. It's just one-on-one drill here, but absolutely cooked him, man. I think Jaden Reed's going to pick up right where he left off last year, guys. I really do, man. And I mean, he looks healthy. He looks quick. Those laid hands, we talk about that all the time.
Right. Fought through the contact right off the front and got a pretty fast release. Once he got through the first swipe, he was gone. Yeah.
Never stopped moving his feet, right? Just keep chopping. So thought that was a pretty cool little play there, and a beautiful throw by Love, man. Love, think back to last camp, when people I won't say any names, but there was a couple of different, beat writers, beat reporters that were like, we haven't seen any wow throws, right? We haven't seen any wow moments. This year, you're like, every day it seems like he's throwing a 40 or 50-yard bomb to Christian Watson. And in this case, it was Jaden Reed in a one-on-one. I get it. It's just practice, but go ahead.
I think what's bigger than that is that I remember what worried me for sure was that even when we had the quote-unquote wow throws that were a little bit underthrown, the receivers had to make adjustments. They were never really quite in stride. I haven't seen – I mean, I've maybe seen a couple balls that were slightly underthrown or maybe thrown like we just talked about that slant play where it was maybe not in the optimal position. But other than that, I mean, when you do see a lot of these kind of wow plays, they're like that's a perfect ball. You see the arc, there's no wobble in the spiral whatsoever. It completely falls down right in the basket. I mean,
in stride.
Doesn't have to hitch. Yeah, no hitch in his giddy up whatsoever. I mean, it was just – it's all been pretty, man. And to think that I really do – I think Jordan Love was one of those players that he needed the reps. He needed to see the game speed, and he has just adjusted every single level of the way. And I really think that this is basically his second year is what I'm looking at it like. And the second year jump that we're going to see, I think is going to be pretty impressive. Mm-hmm. I really do.
Completely
one way to quiet those murmurs, throw passes like that.
Yeah.
What's that? What'd you say?
I said one way to quiet those murmurs, throw passes like that.
Oh, absolutely, man. Just come out slinging it. Humming that tater, shooting that peel. You know what I mean? All right, here we go. Here's another cool play. Marshawn Lloyd back in action today. I think this was 11 on 11s. Look at this, boys. Marshawn Lloyd, 50-yard touchdown run. Patience, bang. Look at that. Little cut, gone. Marshawn, baby, you heard him. Look at it again. I mean, he's shifty. It's hard to see on this, but you can see that little sidestep as soon as he comes through right there. Bang. I don't know who he made miss there, but that might have been McKinney, actually. I'm trying to see. It's hard to tell.
I think Anthony Johnson Jr. is playing the deep safety, if I can see that.
Yeah.
36.
So, again, Marshawn Lloyd starting to flash already, boys. And this wasn't just a little simple, hey, look, I can show my speed. This was 11 on 11, right?
Yeah.
It was. I'm excited. Because John Jacobs was talking about it, how like could be a triple threat back there. Who wants to tackle him?
Yeah, right. I think he beat Ant Johnson and Williams took a bad angle and got caught up in the wash.
Yep. I think you're right. So there you go, man. Marshawn Lloyd signing at camp. Again, all this come from Baz's Twitter handle, Basarski Productions. Just search Basarski and go give him a follow. How the heck he only has like 5,000 followers is beyond me. That dude has some of the best, if not the best, Packers content on YouTube. He's one of my favorite channels. And now that he's on Twitter and spending more time there, man, definitely make sure you go check him out for sure. So completely agree. Coach Lynn says that was an impressive run. You guys want to hear a funny little exchange from Coach LaFleur before we talk about the details of practice? That cool with you guys? All right. So we've been talking about Tupac LaFleur here, right? Last little bit. He has no chill with the media now, right? So little backstory, if I understood it correctly. This is Rob Domofsky asking the question. And Rob Domofsky has been catching hell on Twitter because evidently he's not providing any – the way I took it, and I could be wrong. Again, correct me in the chat if I'm wrong here, if you guys know a little more to the story. But I think he caught some hell because he didn't provide enough details about Edgerrin Cooper's injury, which we'll talk about here in a second. So he puts this long, drawn-out question to Matt LaFleur about, catching hell over not asking or finding out on the field, right? This was Matt LaFleur's response. It's going to be a little quiet. I can't make it any louder. I apologize. But listen to him kind of poke a little fun at the media. It cracks me up, man.
Twitter called me a failure of my job for not interrupting practice yesterday, walking across the field.
He said, obviously, I didn't do my job by interrupting practice and walking across the field. Yeah, listen to this.
Why he dropped out. I'd like to ask at the appropriate time.
Wow, you get a little sensitive, huh, Rob? Man.
Listen to this.
If you dish it, you got to be able to take it, right?
Oh,
you're taking it? All right. Not taking it very well, but you're taking it.
Thought that was cool. So I believe it's Aaron Negler.
Because he had a little growing. So we'll see how he does. And but yeah.
So he's talking about his groin. He said groin, but I think they end up saying it was a hip injury. But here's what's cool. Aaron Negler is going to ask a question here in a second, and he asks about install. I hope you guys can hear it. I apologize on the pod. I can't crank it up any louder, so try to turn the volume up as much as you can. So really good. I think there's a question in between. Then Nagler asks a question about installing a play. Is a really good answer.
Carrington Valentine as well. I mean, it's answering there. Is that a day-to-day thing? Something maybe longer term?
I think we're still kind of going through that right now. But certainly we're going to be very cautious when it comes to those. And, unfortunately, it's the price of doing business sometimes. You get into camp, they're bound to happen sooner or later for somebody. And he's been doing a lot of good things. He tried to power through it. It's just, that's not something that you just want to fight through all the time or usually.
Jordan said that the touchdown play to Wicks at the end was something you guys had installed pretty recently. He said
that touchdown play to Wicks, Jordan said it was recently installed, was the opening comment.
He put it in a couple days ago. Can you take me through what that process is? Because you hear that a lot in football, but it's not like they're computers. You're not like plugging something in. Like, what's the process of putting in a play?
Well, usually you see something on film, and you're always trying to exploit whether the defense might look at some of our protection schemes and want to exploit what our offense is doing, and vice versa. The offense might be looking at whether it's a front structure or how certain coverages play out, and usually that's how plays end up being developed. And so John Dunn did a good job of seeing a hole in the defense, and although we did not execute that play correctly, I don't know if he did say that. All right, good. We did have a bust on the play. That's why it's the result was a touchdown, but we want to be process driven, and the process wasn't right. So good play by those guys. Now there could be, I was telling the team today, could have been a potential push off. If that happened with our defense and an opposing offense, I'd be ticked if they didn't throw a flag. And conversely, if they threw a flag on us and we're on offense, I'd be ticked that they threw the flag. So, but that's just one of the deals that you're always kind of trying to. I don't think you necessarily scheme up each other in camp, because you really want to get your installs and the things that you can kind of forecast what you're going to be doing during the season versus whatever opponents. You want to kind of get ahead of that, but there is some competitiveness, I would say, that comes in, and a lot of, especially down in the red area, a lot of coverages. There's a lot of similarities between a lot of teams in terms of how coverages play out. So, but that's kind of the genesis of how that play came about.
Love it. And again, you get great answers from great questions. Great questions aren't these long, drawn out, let me get a little attention to myself for a second type things. That was straight to the point. Great question by Nagler. And what an answer, dude. Just anything that takes you to the inside of, like, behind the scenes of how these things come into play is huge. I love what he said, process driven. How many times we heard back in 2022 when it was, there's receivers open. Why isn't Rodgers throwing to them open? And then you go hear Kurt Warner break down the choice route rules in exchange within that specific play. And it's like, he's not supposed to be there. Rodgers isn't expecting him there. There, you can't. It's got to be process driven. If it's not happening within the process of the play and how it's designed to be drawn up, it's just a very casual way to fan to go throw to the open guy. He's open. You know what I mean? Same thing with like a run. Like, we should have ran the ball there. They seen something that they were trying to exploit. It's a lot deeper than just me drinking my beer on the couch going, we need to run the football more. Right. So I love that answer from Coach LaFleur, though. Thought it was absolutely awesome. But you guys ready to get into the practice details, the practice notes, if you will? That good with you guys?
Let's do it.
All right. All right, let's go rapid fire real quick. First of all, injury report. Full practice report from Andy Herman said rest day. Elton Jenkins, Rashan Gary, Preston Smith, Kenny Clark all got rest days. personal day, Josh Myers. Does anyone, I'm going to ask you guys this first, does anyone here, Jacob or Emilio, or anyone in the chat know what's going on there? Because it sounds like it's got to be something serious, and that sucks, man. I don't know if it's family or some kind of tragedy. I don't want to speculate too much, but listen, we've been critical of Josh Myers. We feel like he hasn't lived up to the second round hype, but the fact that he's having to take these personal days, man, it really makes me, your heart goes out to him because you don't know what the dude's going through, right? You guys ever heard anything?
Have not.
I haven't heard anything, but like you said, it has to be something close to home. I don't want to speculate. When you have multiple days off and then come back and then immediately have to go off again, it doesn't bode well. But hopefully everything can go as well as possible for him. Because we definitely. It's crazy to say, but we are not as good of a football team unless he's on the field. Right. I really do believe that this year. So
yeah. All right. So also new injuries. Josh Jacobs with a groin injury. I think that was what they were asking in that question, in that clip. Edgerrin Cooper has a hip injury, although he was out there. I've seen clips of him out there, just not with the team drills. And then Don Callis with a hamstring. It said existing injuries: Carrington Valentine hamstring, Donovan Jennings knee, Deslin Alexander lower leg, Keyshawn Banks groin, and Tucker Kraft is still on the PUP list with that torn pec. So those are your injury updates there. Starting O-line today. This was interesting, boys. I ain't going to lie. Made me a little nervous. Wes Hawkins tweeted out, here is your starting offensive line: Rasheed Walker, left tackle; Royce Newman, left guard; Sean Ryan, center; Jordan Morgan, right guard; and Andre Dillard, right tackle. Jacob, I sure hope we never have to see that combination of this offensive line, bro. What do you think about that?
That is the O-line equivalent of gas station sushi. I don't want to ever see that in the history. That made me just have that made me have a physical reaction when I saw it. I was like,
the egg salad sandwich in the open, refrigerator.
Yes, exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah. So hopefully it was just experimental, right? And it stays that way for sure. Javon Bullard did start today. Wes Hawkins said nasty inside cut by Lloyd in team run, jazzes up the crowd. I'm pretty sure that was the 50-yarder. And then he said Bullard is the number one safety with McKinney today. So Javon Bullard got his shot today. One thing I did hear, just listening to different pods today, and specifically live Wildy and Tausch on their show, it sounds like Evan Williams and Javon Bullard are actually in a competition to win that starting safety job. I just kind of felt like Bullard's got it, It doesn't sound like that, boys. How do y'all feel about that? I mean, listen, nobody loves Bullard more than Jacob. You've heard me rave over him, but if the coaches think Evan Williams is better than Bullard, look, sign me up, right? And also you're seeing Keyshawn Nixon. He got cooked twice today in the slot by Jaden Reed, one on a 9 route, the other on a whip route. If that continues, maybe they're trying to get a really good, strong look at Evan Williams at safety to possibly put Bullard in the slot. That could be the case too. Don't forget Kalen King in the slot as well. But just thought that was interesting that Javon Bullard got to start today as well. Moving on to Carl Brooks. Wes Hawkins says Brooks would have had a sack of Clifford in 2s, but Tenuta grabbed some jerseys. So Carl Brooks continues to flash in camp, which is really exciting. We've talked about different players that could play different positions on this defensive line. Carl Brooks is one that played defensive end and stand-up defensive end at Bowling Green, and he dominated, albeit a little less competition at Bowling Green that he was going up against on Saturdays. But we also talked about, he could play interior, he could play defensive end, but check this out. Kobe Wooden today getting snaps at defensive end with Gary and Preston sitting out today. So they actually looked at Kobe Wooden at the defensive end position today. How you guys feel about that? Carl Brooks, and then, of course, Kobe Wooden possibly playing some DN.
I would have thought that it would be Brooks that would see maybe split out a little bit just because he's done so much of that versatile stuff in college. And I don't know. I'm excited about it, though. It is a little bit odd if you were to take out, Gary and Preston. All of a sudden, you'd think you'd be a little bit nervous, but it kind of is cool because I'd be okay with – I wouldn't be happy with it, but if we had to roll into a game or two without those guys, it's like I feel like we have enough rotation and young depth that I wouldn't be necessarily too worried about it.
Right. I guess from what I remember, I thought Wooden was a lot, more narrow, a lot thinner, taller, sort of thing, lengthy than Brooks was. So I would have maybe expected him to try DN. So I'm cool with that. But hey, if you want to get on the field, you got to find a spot to work. If Kenny's been tearing it up, and Matt was saying TJ Slayton has actually been like blowing up. So if that's the case that you have two already in there, you still have Devontae Wyatt and Carl Brooks, your fifth man on the line. You want to get it in play. Let's try to get it a rotation in at edge.
See, the thing is they actually had Wooden put on weight in the offseason, so he came back a little thicker than he was.
That's what I thought. But
yeah, but that
go ahead, Jake.
No, I was just going to say, in between him and LVN, I would have thought again that Brooks would have been, because LVN maybe rotates inside a little more. Brooks has had so many different snap counts all throughout when he was at Bowling Green, and he did a lot of D end, and people are always, the guy is such a big dude, but he moves really gracefully. So I would have thought that they'd throw Brooks out on the outside as opposed to Wooden, but hey, I'm just a guy wearing a cool shirt.
Coach said it here too, though. Said all those D line players need to learn edge also.
That's true.
So it's just think about it like the O line, right? Everyone, if Morgan can play every position except center or every position, hey, that's perfect. We need him good at multiple positions.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing too is you're going to have in a 4-3 defense on occasion, you'll play a team that likes to run a lot, and they like to run specifically, whether it's weak side. Let's say that some week we come across someone who wants to run a lot of weak side zone, and they do it out of 21 or 12. You may have a specific defensive end in mind to kick out there to have a little more, how do I say this? A little more junk in the trunk, right? A little heavier because you want to focus on stopping the run on the weak side of the formation that specific week. You got Kobe Wooden, Carl Brooks, people like that you could pop out there, even Devontae Wyatt. It can play into that role just a touch for sure. Let's go to the chat real quick. Prince in the chat earlier says, Matt LaFleur, a little cagey about severity of Valentine's hamstring injury. Stokes has a clear runway. Hopefully King gets some more reps on the boundary. So it's definitely Stokes' job to lose. It sounds like he's having a pretty decent camp, although we have seen him get cooked a couple times. It's going to happen. It's going to happen in camp. There's no doubt about that. Omer says 3 wide receivers going over 1,000 this year. That would be wild. That would be absolutely wild. I wouldn't rule it out if people stay healthy, right? Because once they start to, if they start to steer attention towards Christian Watson, you start throwing a Dobbs in an isolation play at the boundary X, bam, you're going to get him a lot of touches, a lot of looks, a lot of production. They start keying in on it and taking Christian Watson off the top, then guess what you can do? You can go to Jaden Reed underneath. You can go to Tay Wicks underneath. Who would be the 3 if you had to pick 3?
So I was going to ask, can we include tight ends and running backs as well? Because there is a world where I could see, one of either Tucker or Musgrave cracking 1,000. I think it would be either Dobbs and like a Reed, and like Musgrave or something like that. I don't know. But honestly, it could be, dude, I could see Wicks, Reed, and Dobbs easy with, you know what I mean? And that's, who knows, dude? That's the thing is it's such a good problem to have.
I like both of those, and I'll even add the Dobbs, Wicks, Musgrave maybe. But I think we'll have a couple huge games from C-Dub, and hopefully he takes off, and he is one of the 1,000 also. But, man, we have a lot of talent out there. Jordan Love just has to dish the rock.
Yeah, definitely. We do, and obviously we showed the video earlier. Wes Heikowitz tweeted out, "Oh my God, the throw Love just made to Watson down the seam. Walker carried it, but Love couldn't have thrown it better. We have our Love and Watson big connection of today." So obviously many people, including Wildy, including Tausch and all the guys, talking about, seems like every single day Love hits Watson for a big play. Today it seemed to be like that one on that Tampa 2. Listen, when you're playing Tampa 2 was designed, many people don't know this, but Tony Dungy created the Tampa 2 defense to stop Brett Favre when Tony Dungy was in Tampa, and obviously they were in the same division as the Packers in the 90s. He did that to take away that seam route and really to bait Brett into throwing the seam route, and then you're throwing right into a backer that you didn't expect to be there, right? So you're not supposed to be able to attack the seam in a Tampa 2 look.
Right.
The fact that Jordan just threaded the needle, and kind of the old Aaron Rodgers rule, he said, if I ever look up and I see the back of their jersey, their jersey numbers, I'm putting it right by their ear. And that's exactly what Love did. So you're seeing a little bit of that carry over too, for sure. Let's see here. Coach Lynn says Reed, Dobbs, and Watson. I think that's probably the safest, Coach. That's the safest pick if you said, all right, there's a trio going over 1,000. I just don't know, man. Tay Wicks is Jordan's been going to him every time they need a tutter toward the end on these 2-minute drills, So 2-0 for this says, here's our 1,000-yard receivers. Dobbs, Watson, Reed, Musgrave, Wicks, Melton, Dubose, Dillon, Heath, Melton again, Sims, and Lloyd.
Melton again.
Melton's going to have 2,000 receiving yards. Jordan Love's throwing for 32,000 yards this season. Congratulations. There you go. So
can't wait.
Hilarious. I love it. I'll tell you this, though. This was exciting to see. Wes Hockowitz says Lloyd flashes his hands on snag off a wheel route from Clifford. Guys, a wheel route out of the backfield is not an easy route to run. If you guys don't know what that is, imagine the running back coming out of the backfield. You kind of run a long, looping, like flat, and sometimes it becomes a 2-window throw, right, where the quarterback, if he needs to check it down, you've got the flat, but then that flat goes right up the sideline into what we call a wheel route. You can run tight end wheels, things like that. You can run wheel routes with a little bit of cheat motion, especially with some of these nasty splits. Cheat inside close to the tackle, come back outside, and then wheel it up the sideline. But yeah, that's exciting stuff there. Just the fact that Marshawn Lloyd was able to make that catch on a wheel route says a lot about his ability to catch the football. Josh Jacobs was asked earlier. Ryan Wood had this video on Twitter @by Ryan Wood. Said Josh Jacobs flashes a big smile when asked about Packers running backs. Let's see what Josh Jacobs had to say about the running back room. Obviously, he's specifically talking about Marshawn Lloyd and A.J. Dillon along with Emmanuel Wilson.
Yeah, is that a group that no one's going to want to tackle in this league?
It's definitely going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting. I think a lot of people are, sleep on the backfield that we have. I think that, we have a very high, upside to the group in general, to be able to come in and, use all of us in a certain type of way and be able to capitalize and specialize in our abilities. And obviously with AJ being, the vet and knowing the system, I would say the best out of all the running backs right now. He does a good job at trying to guide us and things like that. And, he's also big. So, he's going to bring that physicality. I like to bring that physicality too. And, Marshawn, he could take the top off. So it's definitely going to be an interesting year.
Yeah. Is that a group that no one?
I think that's what he was trying to say.
John Deere green on a hot summer night. He rode Billy Bob loves Charlene.
I mean, you heard it from a fan.
What is this hat? Look at this hat.
The man is ready to go.
There's got to be a history behind this hat. Where did you get it, Emilio?
It's my grandfather.
I love it. I knew it. I knew it was going to be back on.
Passed down. I'll send you the picture of him buying it off the street.
You look like the "oh no, we suck again" guy.
He does. I love it. That's awesome, man. Absolutely awesome. Got Pappy's hat. It don't get any better.
Or you look like you're about to be hosting a hot dog eating contest on Coney Island.
He's up there announcing it.
Here's the deal.
And in this corner, soaking wet, weighing 120 pounds with 2 big sand rocks in his back pocket. Unbelievable. All right. So, anyway, back to the camp updates. Please, Emilio, no more props. You're going to get a sidetrack. All right. Someone mentioned LVN in the chat. Who was it? Boom, Omer. I've been very critical of LVN, but he's been balling the past 4 days in practice. I'm glad you brought that up, Omer. This tweet came across from Wes Hockowitz during practices. Van Ness bust through for what appeared to be a sack, but the ball moved ahead 2 yards. So sometimes they'll strategically move stuff around to get themselves in certain down and distance situations to practice things. But it sounds like LVN came away with another sack. So I like how you said bust through for what appeared to be a sack. Okay, yeah. I was trying to see if it was where he was playing at. I got the vibe that he continues to play inside from time to time and not just at the edge. So that gives me that gets me really excited. Another one that flashed too today was Enigbare. Wes Hockowitz says Enigbare blows up inside run for no gain. So obviously LVN and Enigbare. This defensive end room, boys, it might be the deepest, a top 5 deepest defensive end room in the league. Like, think about the guys that are in that room, man.
And I'm always thinking, like, is it just because we just talk about Packers all the time, like that we're thinking like this? But man, I don't know. If we look the numbers up, they might not all pop, but the way that these dudes show out and perform, as a unit, that's what's going to matter. If we can get pressure with 4, this season is going to be absolutely different.
No, definitely. All right, let's see here. Back to the offensive side of the ball. Wes Hodkiewicz tweeted out. Let me drop that down. Bang. Dontavian Wicks show is back. Beautiful over-the-shoulder grab from Love in 2 minute to defense, to the defense's 15. Good for 27. Also had first catch of the drive for 13. I'm telling you, man, when they're in 2 minute drill, he's just looking for Tay, dude.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking
and it's Jordan calling the plays. Matt said he's calling most of those in the 2 minute because, it's 1, quick decisions, quick reactions, and 2, it lets him see, what does Jordan like in the moment? What is he kind of like in those instances?
Yeah. If you guys would hit that like button for us real quick here on YouTube, Rumble, and on X, feel free to share it. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us here as the Chicago Bears are now losing 10-0 in the second quarter in the first preseason game of the year. But feel free to sub to the channel if you like this kind of content too. We really appreciate you support.
The Bears still suck.
Beautiful drop there. My goodness. So Wes Hodkiewicz quote tweeted that from earlier, and then he said, and Wicks just drew a defensive pass interference in the end zone on 4th and 1 to continue the drive. I mean, he just continues to look for Wicks with the game on the line in these specific situations that Matt LaFleur is setting up. So let's go to the details of the 2 minute drill from the number ones. We'll read them in order here. This is from Andy Herman. 2 minute drill. Ball at your own 45, down 7, 1 minute left. No timeouts, 1st and 10. Love the Wicks for about 13. First down, clock ticks. Wicks with a beautiful release versus Stokes. There's Stokes getting cooked a little bit again. And Love throws an absolute effing dime down the sidelines. Huge gain out of bounds. Unreal play. So Wicks just continuing to flash. Down to the 16. 38 seconds left. No timeouts. 1st and 10. Cox almost gets a sack, Jacob. Almost gets a sack, but Love gets rid of it. Incomplete to Dobbs. Downfield was basically a throwaway. 32 seconds left. Love checked down to Reed. Picks up 7. Clock ticks. Dillard, nice block on Cox. Jacob. 4th and 2 at the 7 coming up. 9 seconds left. So it's 4th and 2. 9 seconds left. Wicks wins easy, and Loves gives him a great ball, but Bullard wisely grabs him. Pass interference called. First down at the 1, 4 seconds left. I heard people saying extremely high IQ play by Javon Bullard, knowing, hey, look, let's just get the pass interference here. It's either that or a touchdown, right? Mm-hmm. So that's cool to see some of that situational awareness, especially from a rookie. And then the final one says Love completes to Wicks, but defense forced him out at the 1. Looks like there should have been a second left, but it ticks off. Defense wins. Wicks and Love were awesome on that drive. So hear your all's comments on that little 1 minute drill put together by our boy Matt LaFleur. Got to have the hat on if we're going to do that drop. Yeah. I'm sorry, man. You got to have it.
Like I said, I'm 2 minute drill. Let Jordan Love cook. Let him call the plays he wants to see and find the targets he wants to hit. Yep. And it happened. But I also like how you pointed out there, Bullard. Smart play by the rook. You got to be. You also got to be thinking while you're out there. So I'm sure Hafley wasn't happy about the coverage breakdown, but happy that he made that decision.
Yeah. What do you think about Wicks, Jacob? Seemed like a real deal, dude.
I mean, yeah, like we talked about, they did a lot of off-season work together, and I think it's starting to kind of show up once Love kind of got up to speed. They're starting to get on the same play or the same pace as far as the gameplay goes, and I really do think it's crazy to think that there's so many different weapons that could come to fruition. One of them we're not talking about too is Josh Jacobs has always expressed how he wanted to be involved in the passing game more often and how they basically just refused to do that in Oakland. He had like 2 pass attempts or was passed to twice or something crazy like that over his career there. Like they never utilized him. So I'm excited to see that. And it's a little bit encouraging to see my man Cox out there throwing around, slapping around, and But it stinks because it seems like there's a lot of Cox blockers out there, like Dillard, that are putting it down. Just like 12.
You're an amazing person. You know that, don't you?
But you gotta work hard, penetrate through, and on the other side, you're gonna see a lot of good stuff coming out.
Emilio, this is your friend right here. This is your friend, not mine. Okay, unbelievable, Jacob. I'm just gonna let that sit for a second.
I don't even know what to say. We might need to add that one to the quote list.
Put it on the ticker. Put it on the ticker. All right, 2-minute drill from the number 2s. You ready? Yeah, we need to hear we go drop. You're right, sir. I apologize. When Tim's not here, everything runs off the rails.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Herman tweeted out, same situation for the 2s. So here's the second team essentially. Clifford scrambles, no gain, or maybe a slight loss, but gets out of bounds. Clifford to Heath with a nice anticipation throw on an out route, picks up 7, third down. King undercuts the route but can't come up with anything. Ball hits Torrey in the hands for a potential first, but drops. So you see Torrey with the drop there, right? That's what it looks like. Let me drop this banner down real quick. And Clifford tries a slant to Heath, but it's well covered. Defense wins. So obviously the backup defense beats the backup offense there, the number 2s, if you will. Now this was cool. They put a situation together. Andy Herman tweeted this out. 16 seconds left, tie game, ball at the opposing 35, no timeouts. Love throws to Dobbs for a potential touchdown, but Bullard and Dobbs collide hard, both down for a bit, but both get up and walk to the sidelines. Actually, Bullard stays in the fake. Stays in the play, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, Dobbs says he's good. All right, so everybody's healthy. Everybody went just now, just like I did when I first read it. Love fires a strike to Melton, back corner of the end zone. Should have been 7, but Melton misjudged it, and it went right through his hands. Not an easy play for 80, but did seem like he misjudged it a bit. Field goal team on. Greg Joseph drills it. Now, one of the big talking points today, and then we'll kind of get ready to wrap up with this, kicking competition. Boys, we talked about it, I think it was yesterday. I'm giving Anders Carlson the edge, right? I'm like, yeah, Anders Carlson the guy, and I think I specifically said, unless he falls 5-6 kicks behind, then I might feel different. Like clockwork, check this out. 6 hours ago, Andy Herman tweeted, Carlson goes 1 for 3 kicking. He's now 22 of 27 in camp. Joseph goes 3 for 3. He's now 25 of 27 in camp. Joseph widens his lead somewhat significantly. All right. Then with that quote tweet, what he tweeted out right after that was Carlson goes 2 for 3. He's now 24 of 30 in camp. Joseph goes 3 for 3. He's now 28 of 30, 3 exclamation points. The Joseph lead widens. Carlson needs to avoid a lull here, something he struggled with at times. At what point, you guys know, I've been that person like, hey, if it's close, give it to Anders. At what point do you look up and go, damn, Greg Joseph won this kicking competition? What would it take? A 10-kick lead? What do you guys think it would be?
Oh, man. Isn't it funny, though, how – because I posed the question of, like, how good do the other safeties have to be to basically uproot Xavier McKinney, where it's like the kickers. We spent draft capital on Anders. Not a lot, but we spent a lot of draft capital on him. And if he can miss, he misses like 2 or 3 kicks, less than the other guy. And they're like, get rid of him. Get rid of his pension. Never let him come in this city again. Burn it down. Greg Joseph, that's right here. Too old for this. That's funny. He's a Vikings plant. It was crazy to me that Greg Joseph got cut from the Vikings after he had a pretty successful year with them. That's what tells you again about the kicker position. It's so up and down. You're probably just depending on certain owners' whims whether or not they want to keep you or not. I still am leaning towards Carlson because of the fact he's so young and because of the fact we did spend what was the 6th round? Is that what we did him in?
I believe 5th? So, but he's still on his rookie contract, so why not take advantage of that? Jacob, my point is, he banged four more kicks than Carlson. That's cool. Matt was talking about how he wants to see when it's more game-like situation, family night, preseason games, things like that, to really get a true test of it. And even still, I listened to his interview, his interview was good. Like the dude carries himself well. He talks well. His questions and answers were great. But I think Anderson can learn a lot from him as well. That, take one kick as one kick, and once it leaves your foot, it's over. You can't keep looking ahead or behind at what you've done previously. And that it's like, I don't even set goals. I don't know what I'm at. I don't know stats. He goes, I'm going to beat myself if anything. But it's one kick at a time and take it. He goes, I had to learn it from veterans too. So maybe Carlson needs that veteran help keep him in here for another month and push him. And by the time final cuts come around, then we make the decision.
You know what that reminds me of was one of the best quotes from one of the best humans of all time. His name is Dom Toretto. He says, I live my life a quarter mile at a time. You know who that's from? You know what that's from, Emilio?
Are you kidding me? Driving. Yeah, I know what Fast and Furious
Hey,
is.
Paul Walker, click it or ticket.
Yeah, I'll take the tuna fish sandwich.
Unbelievable.
Oh,
All right. Omer in the chat. Now listen, Omer is that guy. He fired everyone at 1265 3 times.
He wanted Joe Barry gone.
He wanted Matt LaFleur gone for a short bit. He comes in here and says, one bad day and you all want to hang Anders. Hey, Omer, I like this new Omer, bro.
Yeah.
Seriously. Because it's a great point.
Omer.
It's a great point. I don't think anyone said he should be executed, but
right.
I'm just saying if it jumps to like a 10-kick lead, we got to start talking about it, right? I mean, if you see it, you got to say it. But Omer, I'm proud of you, sir. You were being positive tonight, and I'm starting to wonder if you got hacked. You were the man. Greg Joseph says, agreed. Greg Rice says, agreed. Joseph is a double agent. Yeah, Greg Joseph hanging out here. I think Greg Joseph's a double agent. So there you go. 2-0 for this. Says still a lot of camp left for both of these guys. Absolutely. I mean, what do we got? We still got, 3 more weeks of camp? Am I thinking right? Yeah, roughly 3. So you're right.
Team, yeah.
And that's all I'm saying is like if he's got this kind of lead right now and it extends to a 10-kick lead by the end of camp, I'm just gonna go ahead and warn you guys. I will flip to the Greg Joseph camp. I want what's best for the freaking team. And as far as like Jacob brings up a great point with the draft pick, I mean it's true. It's true. It does matter. But who was it that said it in here? Right here. Ron Sanville says 93% complete compared to 80% makes a rookie contract less important. It's true. And also the worry we have with the rookie contract is, okay, if we cut him, we lose that rookie contract. Well, here's the deal. He's already been in the league 1 year. If you cut him and stash him on the practice squad, right, and then you activate him next offseason, guess what? It resets to 2 years. And when I say 2 years, it's going to make him somewhat of maybe it is a restricted free agent or it's an exclusive rights free agent. So you're essentially just losing 1 year of that contract, right? So just something to take into consideration. And again, there's a lot of camp left, as they said. Let's see. R.R. Smith 30 says, I want whoever is best suited for the job. Absolutely, man. I want the guy. I don't care. This is what I've been trying to do as a fan, because I get attached to players as much as anyone, right? I like that dude's got the best attitude. He's a team player. He says all the right things. It's easy for me to go, man, I want him on the team. I try to remove the names. If you remove those names and said, all right, you got to pick a kicker. Here's what they did in camp. Who are you choosing? Let's be honest. Right? It's the same thing with like Kenny Clark, as bad as I hate to say it. If you removed all names and you said, okay, here's a defensive tackle that was 27th in pressure percentage. He was 10th in combined sacks. He was 141st in missed tackle percentage. And he was 35th in PFF grade, averaging out to the 53rd best defensive tackle in the league, according to those 4 metrics. Are you willing to give him the highest cap hit in the league at defensive tackle if you didn't know his name? You probably aren't, right? So that's how I'm trying to look at stuff, but I'm also trying to look at it through the eyes of the coaches, the front office, because they know a hell of a lot more than us, right? So
you're saying Carlson misses another 6 kicks, it's over, or like it could be to that 10-point. But if he stays at, maybe he misses 1 or 2 more, because it's not like unless Joseph misses, he's not going to be able to make up ground, right? There's no way of him pulling back into it,
and that means that Joseph is just killing it. if he continues
Right.
to hit it, right, you know? So, again, I said 10. I just kind of flippantly threw that out there, but I think that is kind of realistic. Like, look, man, if this guy's got a 10-kick lead.
Yeah. What are we going to – I mean, we're at 30 now. By the time we get done with it to the open practices, we were probably at 60 last year or 70, something like that. Yeah. So that's a good sample size. I think it's going to be key on family night, and it's going to be key on those games. I think that could, even if Carlson is maybe 5 to 10 kicks down, but he bangs all the ones in game, when the pressure's on, all that could be a different scenario too.
I think somebody said in the chat that about family night too. That's going to be a great test, right?
Yeah, right.
You get the crowd in there. You get the wind in Lambeau a little bit. It's going to be with all the humidity here in the summer air in Green Bay, Wisconsin. That air is going to be a little bit, just a touch
thick.
You know what I mean? It's going to be sitting in there heavy and going to be a little bit more difficult to kick than I think Rainitzky Field for sure. Omer says Joseph deserves credit for doing so well, no doubt. So, yeah. And then Drew D says, but has Joseph been nailing the bike ride? That's the real question, right? So that's a great.
Don't know.
Got to go to the tape. Got to go to the tape on that one. All right, gentlemen. Anything else as the Houston Texans are now leading the Bears 10-7 with 5:26 left in the second quarter. I know some of you gambling degenerates are about to start tracking the middle late here to get your live bet in on a preseason game that we don't know who the hell's actually on the field right now. But anything else you want to hit on, Jacob, that maybe popped to you during camp today?
No, not really. That was it right there. It was what Drew was talking about, how family night is such an advantage for the Packers. It really is. It almost gives them an extra. I mean, Josh Jacobs, I believe, was asked about it at his locker today, and like, what do you expect? And he's like, man, I don't know. He's like, I'm told that there's like 85,000 people that show up to basically watch us practice, and
dudes are tailgating now.
Yeah, literally. I mean, probably in the next like 24 hours, there'll be people that'll be out there. I mean, that's crazy. So, I'm excited to see how they react to it. I'm excited to see how certain players use that opportunity. I think the biggest one they talked about for sure is the kickers. I think that's a huge advantage for the kicking game, especially when, last year we made the mistake of not having anybody challenging Anders. This year we have somebody that's almost literally perfect challenging him. So add in the extra sweat of a game time situation with literally 80,000 people waiting and breathing and cheering at the same time. I think it's going to be great. Super great.
Mm-hmm.
Greg Ross in the chat say, Clayton, what is the reason you do not play a rookie quarterback? He isn't ready, ? I'm assuming he's talking about Caleb Williams tonight in that preseason game.
I think so.
It could be. I've thought about this quite a bit over the last.
He's going to cry.
I thought about this a lot over the last 48 hours, Greg, because it's like it could be two things. It could be he's not ready, and they know that could create a big negative firestorm in the media if he goes out there and just absolutely craps the bed in his first preseason game, right? It could also be that he's lighting it up behind the scenes, and they know, hey, look, this dude's ready. Let's not risk getting him injured, right? I don't know. Emilio, how do you feel about that?
I could have swore I heard Lombardi talking that he thinks that they're not even bringing the starting offensive line out there. So if we're not going to put the starting O-line out there, we're not going to put the, new starting quarterback out there too, which is fair, right? But again, he's going to need reps. So at some point he's going to have to play, but I guess they just don't consider the Hall of Fame game, one for the starters is all.
That makes sense. You don't want him out there getting crushed behind a backup offensive line, right? So maybe it'll be something kind of like the old days where, there used to be 4 preseason games. That third preseason game was the dress rehearsal where you get your starters out there for sometimes even a half of football. It might be the second preseason game they do that now, and then the third they set it and let the young guys try to win.
I'm not sure, but do they only have 3, or is the Hall of Fame game like an extra one for them?
I'm pretty sure they still just have 3, Jacob. Okay. Isn't that true? Let me double check.
Because that would be the only other thing. If it's really just an extra preseason game, then yeah, why would you have the starters out there for that one if you just need to see tape on everybody else? Because we're getting like the 4th with family night, and then we still don't have a game for another week. So
yeah, looking at the schedule here, they have 4 preseason games. I didn't realize that.
So all right, so then the Hall of Fame game's just a wash. Get everybody out there who's at the bottom of the roster, see what they can do. That makes more sense.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I thought for sure they had 3 just like everyone else. I didn't realize they had a 4th game. Did you know that, Jacob?
No, but like Amelia was just saying, that kind of is a weird incentive where it's like, hey, we'll give you this extra game where it's kind of not really a game, but like you might get embarrassed. But the fact is you could try to see who the absolute crap is at the bottom of your roster. It gives you like an extra week to kind of churn and burn. Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. All right. Anything else, fellas? Good. Anders Carlson talk is running rampant in the chat. I love it, man. I love it. Let's hit on a little bit of that real quick. We're way over. What are we doing? What are we doing? One more. Omer says Anders can kick at 65. He can. They're talking about his leg is like elite. But if you're asking me, would you rather have someone who can hit a 65-yard field goal or someone who's going to hit you 5 or 6 extra kicks during the season? I'm going with those 5 or 6.
Well, yeah.
How often do you need to kick a 65-yarder, right?
Joseph was saying, he said, my stroke is the same no matter the distance. He said from a PAT, an extra point, to 20-yard field goal or a 50-yard field goal, he said my stroke's the same. If I know that I'm back deep at 60-plus probably, he said I can put a little extra on, but it causes more room for error, which all of that makes sense. But I just want to see Anders' stroke be super consistent, and I think that's what he's getting towards. But we'll see in some competition here.
Yeah, definitely. Greg Rice says, Anders is my guy. Greg, sorry, no love from the Greg Club. And then he went on to say, Greg on Greg hate. So Greg hates Greg. Greg on Greg hate. So, anything else, Jacob? I heard you say, I don't know. Did you get a back spasm or what?
No, I just I don't watch movies like Clayton does. Drew D talked about a topic. I watched the new Top Gun. I'm the last person apparently on Earth to watch it with Tom Cruise.
Good?
It was amazing.
Was it good?
Dude, it was.
You watch Maverick?
It was like the best remake I've ever seen. It wasn't even a remake. It made me so happy. It made me like proud to be an American. It was
Jacob,
like,
Jacob, when
it
we
made
were
me
in our
excited. They touched on stories, but didn't over embellish them. They let it play out. They had the diversity thing, but like they didn't overblow it, so it was in your face. It was great. It was really good.
That movie came out. We got it. Played it on when we were at our apartment. Fell asleep. That thing was blaring. We got a noise complaint the next day. Our neighbors were like, called the office. We got a noise complaint for it. But what a movie! I mean, absolute gem.
Yeah.
They said, over there at 375 Smith Street, we had a noise complaint.
Who? All you hear is just rockets taking off.
I've got a buddy. His name's Worth, and he's in his late 50s. And they went and watched it. I think it was 3 times in the theater. And I said, "Was it good?" He went, "I cried every time." That's what he said. Mm-hmm. He loved it. I can't
believe you haven't seen it.
I'm just not a movie person, man. You know what I'm over here doing? I'm over here trying to read how this damn wide zone slice is working out. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on,
yeah.
I ain't got time for movies.
That looks like your notes for your junior year on Road to Glory is what it looks like.
Between that book and winning natties with Notre Dame on College Football 25, I ain't got time to go to the theater. Are you kidding me? So, anyway, we've reached the point in the show where we say this show sucks. So we're going to leave now. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us. We'll see you tomorrow. Got Pecos Bill down there. Love it. Love that. So tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central, we should be back. Tomorrow's Friday, right, gentlemen? Yeah. Correct. So, and then, of course, God, unbelievable. Jake, you had to put it up there, didn't you?
Oh, man.
I know it was you, Jacob.
It was definitely Jacob.
Saturday night. Who is available Saturday night?
I can try to be, yeah.
Oh, that really.
Oh, is that for? Wait, that's for family night?
No, Jacob. I was going to see if you want to hit the bar with me. Yeah.
No, I'll be available for that. I want to make sure I
think that's going to be fun. If we can make that happen, we're going to do a live stream during family night. We won't be streaming the game or the scrimmage, but we will be doing live updates during it. So it'll be a lot of fun. If you guys want to swing through, if you're out of market, you can't catch it. Hop in here with us and we'll give you some updates. We'll try to time it to when the good stuff starts happening. We may go a little early, but we'll try to carry it through the end. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, it'll be out in podcast form too. If people miss it, then the next day they can check it out in podcast form and we can give some some audio updates, if you will. John, thank you so much. He said hit that like button. If y'all would, hit that like button briefly on your way out. We'd really, really appreciate it. Coach Lynn said he's available, LOL. We need to get you on, Coach Lynn. We need to make that happen. Need to do that soon, too. I think that'd be a lot of fun. You just can't be here for the pregame stuff because I'm telling you, these knuckleheads they about ran me off a time or two. They made me question my loyalty to the show, to be honest with you, man. They get so out of control. But
loyalty to the show.
Yeah. Anyway, we're out. Appreciate everybody. For those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. Randy Cleaver says, go, Pack, go. Completely agree, sir. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go, Pack, go.